Okay, so what's going on with the books, right? So, newest episode, ReZero, Season 4, Episode 5. What's going on with these fucking books? Okay, now I could do the whole plot summary thing like I usually do, but in this case, I really just want to talk about the books. I mean, I'll still give you a basic plot summary. In fact, I'll do that right now, but I really just want to talk about the books. Alright, so after they unlock the library and start looking around, they notice that the books all have the names of actual people that have died on them, and that only someone who was acquainted with that person, or at least like knows of them, or like has met them in some way, is able to read them. They then proceed to talk with Shaula. Shaula tells them that if they don't follow certain rules, then she's gonna have to fucking murder all of them. And then they realize that they can't actually proceed upwards. They don't know where the staircase is to get to the next level. And so, what they end up doing is trying Amelia's idea, where they go back, and suddenly there is a new staircase where there wasn't one before. Throwing caution to the wind, they all head up the stairs in a very weird scene that I kind of laugh at, and they find a sword in the stone on the ground. The trial this time says that in order to... How do I word this? Well, I'll just say exactly what they say. It says that thou who has obtained the heavenly sword must now earn his pardon. A guy who is 100% Reinhardt's great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or whatever shows up, says that Amelia and Anastasia are hot, Beatrice and Maylee are brats, Julius is a follower, Shala is a hot chick, and that Subaru is a wimp. And then that's kind of where the episode ends. Now listen, obviously I could sit here for a much longer time and talk about a lot of stuff to do with Reed and all the stuff with that, but honestly, I'm going to be completely 100% honest with you. I really, really, really just want to talk about the books right now. The books and Typhon, especially because Typhon is the Witch of Pride, and there's a lot to do with that in Subaru, I feel like, so. And I feel like one thing that I really want to touch on is actually something that Maylee said about Subaru, and that is, if he were to die right now, would his book just appear in the library? Like, how does this process work? Because, like, I would assume it just appears, but, like, that would be really weird and strange, but I guess weird and strange is, like, the tagline of ReZero at this point. Also, now that I think about it, Subaru isn't even from this world, so, like, he might just not even have a book when he dies. In fact, actually, now that I think about it, Subaru's actually died multiple times, along with many other people. Do they have books in here? Like, does Subaru just casually have 23 books in here right now? So yeah, honestly, I'm just really, really interested in how these books, like, actually work, because if you don't know the person, at least in some way, then you seemingly can't read them. At first, when I saw Subaru read them, I thought that maybe this is going to be another thing where it's just Subaru, because he's always kind of the odd one out in this world. But, you know, then we saw Julius read one, so obviously it's not just Subaru this time for once. Also, Beatrice would just not be able to read any of these books because she's been in a library for the past 400 years. She wouldn't know anyone. But now we get to another thing that I really want to talk about. Typhon. We just casually got Typhon's backstory dropped on top of us. And I wasn't expecting it to just happen suddenly. So there's quite a bit to digest here. Now, first things first, I find it really interesting that Typhon is the witch that we got to learn about this episode, because Typhon is a witch that I feel like Subaru is definitely connected to because of the whole, I think Subaru's the Bishop of Pride thing, so I feel like him and her are definitely connected. I feel like Return by Death is the authority of Pride. So basically, Typhon's story was she was just a normal, like, 7 or 8-year-old girl, I think. Her father was an executioner, and he tried to teach her justice, what's right and wrong. However, she eventually took that in a not so good way, and it led to her developing her authority of pride. At least I think so. I'm pretty sure this is her developing it. And it basically allows her to just say, "Hey, are you a bad person?" And then they shatter like glass. And she was a monster, man. Like, holy shit, she could really just walk out to an entire town and say, "Hey, are you all bad people?" And then they all break apart into nothing. What gets me, though, about her is that she doesn't really seem malicious. I feel like she doesn't really feel evil. Like, I know that obviously, she's killed probably thousands of people by just asking her the question of, are you a bad person? But like, at the same time, she really just seems like a child doing what she thinks is right in a weird way, which is really strange given the fact that, with the title of witch, you'd expect her to be like an actively evil and malicious person, which, I mean, I guess with the Sanctuary, she always did kind of seem, pretty innocent, especially even after all the stuff she was doing, but it's just kind of shocking to see her. Also, again, I think it's very peculiar that of all the witches Subaru could have seen and read about, he just so happened to read about the Witch of Pride, the one that he is supposedly somewhat connected to, if what Betelgeuse said is to be believed. And I've personally, again, I just watched the anime, man, don't give me any spoilers, but I personally always believed that Return by Death was Subaru's authority of pride. But yeah, that's just an interesting thing that I want to talk about for food for thought. But I'm probably going to wrap this video up because, gotta keep on going. Again, sorry about last week's video. It was really shitty, but, I was on a time crunch, so, what can you do? Anyways, drink water, hug your mother, do all that good stuff, Have a nice day, man.